Hi there. So one of the other things I like to make for my Christmas goodies gift baskets for friends and family are some marshmallows. And this year I'm going to do my marshmallows in a longer, shallower pan, and I'm going to cut them into snowflake shapes so that you can put them on top of your hot chocolate, or you can just eat them. But they'll look really pretty in a snowflake pattern. So I have started off by lining a very large, which just looks like a large pan on the screen. It's a 17-inch by 11-inch or 11.5-inch rimmed baking sheet. And I've sprayed that with cooking spray, or you can just use vegetable oil. And then I've lined it lengthwise and then sprayed that again. So marshmallows are very, very sticky, so you want to make sure you've oiled it well. And then to start, I've got my bowl for my mixer, and I've got 1/3 cup of cold water in the bowl. And then to that, I've got 2 little packets or sachets of unflavored gelatin. And I'm just going to sprinkle that over the top. And this is just the powdered gelatin. You get a whole bunch of little sachets in your box, so 2 for this one. And as you can see, it's already starting to absorb the water, and it's going to go all sort of jelly-y. But we're going to set this aside because we need to make our sugar syrup, or our syrup, to pour into this to make it into marshmallows. So I'm going to set this aside, and then I'm going to make my syrup to pour into it to make marshmallows. Right, so in my saucepan now, I have 1/3 cup water. I'm going to add my sugar, which is 1.5 cups of sugar. Pour that in. Then to this, I'm also going to add some light corn syrup. And I need 2/3 cup, so we're just going to pour that in. Scrape all of that out. There we go. And 1/8 teaspoon salt. There we go. Alright, so I'm going to give that a little stir. Around. Okay, so I'm going to put this onto a high heat. I'm also going to cover it, and I'm going to bring it to a boil. It's kind of a medium-high heat, actually. There we go. So I'm just going to leave that and bring it to a boil. And then we'll take the lid off, swirl it a little bit, and then I'm going to add in a candy thermometer so I can see what temperature it's at. So we need to cook it using a candy thermometer. It makes it much more easy to make sure it's at the right temperature when you use a candy thermometer. This is the same one that I use for deep frying. It goes up to 400, so I do use this for deep frying as well. But when you're doing a lot of candy and sugar syrups and that sort of thing, you can see that, I don't know if you can see that, there we go. So you can see that it's got different things. So you've got soft ball, hard ball, firm ball, soft crack, hard crack. So that's all for sugar syrups and sugar candies and that sort of thing. So make sure that you get it accurate, because you can see that they're not very far apart. So if you kind of go outside the range that you're supposed to be in, your candy isn't going to turn out quite the way that you'd hoped. So this is a good, useful thing to have. Not very expensive, so very good to have in your assortment of gadgets. Okay, so it's just started to boil now. And so you don't want to stir this. You can swirl it. So I'm going to switch this around so that I can use this hand. So you can pick it up and you can just swirl it around like that. but I'm going to clip on my candy thermometer. There we go. So that I can see what temperature we're getting to. So we're going to go to 238 degrees is what we're looking for on our candy thermometer. And as I was showing you, that's the softball stage. So mine will actually say softball stage or softball on it rather than the 238. So I'm going to keep swirling it a little bit to make sure that it's evenly heating. So this should take about 5 minutes or so to get up to the softball stage. And as I said, I've got my bowl that has the water with the gelatin. That's back on my mixer now, and I've got the whisk attachment on that. So once this gets to the softball stage, we're going to move over to the mixer, carefully pour the hot syrup into the gelatin mixture, and then whip it on high until you get that nice fluffy white pillowy marshmallow. And again, gently, gently swirl. Boiling sugar is very dangerous. It's very, very hot. It will burn you if you get it on you. So you need to be very careful when you're making your sugar syrups and candies and all sorts when you're boiling your sugar. And as you can see, it's come up quite a bit. If you look at the edge of the pan, it's come quite a ways up the edge. So do make sure that you've got a large enough pan to allow for it to bubble up and then sink back down. And then this last little bit seems to take a little bit longer. So I'm just below the softball stage, and that's something you want to make sure that you do as well. Don't take it off the heat before it gets to the temperature that you want. I know that it sort of rises quickly, and I've panicked before. I'm going, oh my god, it's going to go flying off really quickly. So, but it doesn't. It takes a little bit longer right when you want it to get to the certain temperature, I find anyway. So just make sure that you wait until it does get to that softball stage. And that little line that says 238. Okay, so while mine is getting just to the last little edge of the 238, I'm going to move my camera back over to my mixer so that I'm ready to go and I can show you pouring the hot sugar into the gelatin. Okay, so my sugar syrup has reached its 238 softball stage, and I've got my whisk in my mixer ready to go. So I'm going to turn my whisk with my gelatin in the bowl to a low heat, and then I'm going to carefully drizzle my sugar syrup down the side and incorporate it on a low speed. Now you don't want to scrape the bowl out or your saucepan out. Just pour out all the syrup that comes out on its own. And that's all of it in there. So I'm going to turn this up to a medium speed and then a high speed. And I'm going to let it keep mixing, and it's going to take about 12 to 15 minutes to go white and fluff up. So I'm just going to let it beat, and you'll see it change as it goes. You can also see all of the steam coming off as you're cooling the sugar syrup down. And so gradually moving it up to a high speed. Again, being very careful with the splattering of any of the hot sugar. So we're almost at our high speed. Once I get to high speed, I will set a timer for 12 minutes and actually walk away and just let it do its thing. So as it incorporates air and cools down, your marshmallows will turn white and triple in volume pretty much. so that has been 12 minutes and it is all nice and light and fluffy now. I'm going to add in 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract. Now I'm actually using vanilla bean paste and I really like having all the little seeds in there as well. And so I'm just going to mix that in for 30 seconds. Okay, and I'm going to move this back out of the way. You want to work fairly quickly because this is going to set at room temperature, so you want to make sure you get it out of the bowl. So this is my tray, and I'm just going to use a spatula that I've sprayed with a little bit of the cooking spray, or again just some vegetable oil that doesn't have any flavor would work fine. And get all of the stuff off of your whisk. And then I'm just going to scrape it out as easily as I can and spread it all across my tray. Like so. And it is marshmallow and it is very, very sticky. So just be ready for all these little threads and stuff everywhere. And try and get out as much as you can. There will definitely be some that is still stuck to the bowl, but as the baker and chef, you definitely should be licking the spatula or spoon on this one. Alright, so that is, there we go, my marshmallow. And then I also have an offset spatula that again I have also greased with some cooking spray to help me spread out my very sticky marshmallow, which is going all over the place. There we go. You're just trying to make this sort of an even thickness, really. It doesn't have to touch all corners necessarily. I'm just going to keep turning and sort of spreading it out. Because I'm going to use a cookie cutter to make the shapes, my little snowflakes, I just want an even flat surface. I'm just going to try and work my marshmallow out as I go. And as you can see, it is definitely very, very sticky. It's definitely marshmallow. Alright, there we go. So we've got our marshmallow in our tray, and then I'm just going to let that sit for about 3 hours, or again overnight. That sort of leave it overnight works well. So if you do this the day before and then you cut them out tomorrow. So once it's set, I will come back and show you how to cut out the lovely snowflake patterns. Okay, so my marshmallows have set up in my lovely sort of shallow sponge roll tin, and as you can see from pressing on them, it's not sticky on the top, and it's quite spongy like a marshmallow. So now I'm going to cut them out into some cute little snowflake shapes. I've got 2 smaller ones. Now make sure you don't make these too big, because you want to sort of have them to put on top of your hot chocolate in your mug. So you want it to be able to fit in a mug, which is quite nice. So you could always give this with a mug, and then you know exactly what size cookie cutter you can use. So first what I'm going to do is I'm going to dust the surface like this. This is just confectioner's sugar or icing sugar. And I'm just going to sift it over the top like that. And then I'm just going to use my fingers to spread it all over the top. Because although it's set and not super sticky, you still want to make sure that it's not going to stick to anything. So there we go. So we've got that nice and coated. And I'm just going to move this out of the way for a second, and I'm going to grab some more baking parchment, and I'm going to turn this out onto the baking parchment. go, and the same as the other side. So I'm just going to cover the whole thing so that it's not sticky. There we go. And so then all you need to do with these is pick a spot, press it in, make sure it goes all the way through, and it's going to be sticky, so you can put some cooking spray or oil on this as well. And then you just pull that out gently like that. And there is your very cute, lovely snowflake pattern. And that is super yummy. It's a nice thickness to put on top of your hot chocolate. So you can pop that into a little cellophane bag, or a few of them in there, and maybe even some hot chocolate with your gift. These are very yummy to eat just on their own, but super cute little snowflake. So I'm going to go ahead and stamp out all of these. But thank you so much for watching my video. I really appreciate it, and I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please do give me a thumbs up. I'll post the recipe below for the marshmallows, and please post any questions you have or comments in the comments section below, and please subscribe to see what else I'm up to. Thanks for watching.